Sonic's Green Hills Adventures Season 2 Chapter 11. Where are you, Longclaw? Sonic's point of view.
When Pretzel Mum said Longclaw was missing, I froze in shock as I felt tears falling down my muzzle. No, we have to find her, but how? I exclaimed once I found my voice and started panicking again.
Mom, I have to go. Sonic is panicking again. I promise Longclaw will be with us when we arrive at the house.
I heard Shadow say it as he hung up his phone. This news allowed me to calm down. Sorry for freaking out, Shadow. It's just she was my first friend, I said apologetically.
No worries, bro. And we'll find her. We just need to know where to look. I'm afraid to say this, but there's a possibility that Dr. Robotnik took her.
Shadow said carefully as to not freak me out again.
I'm afraid to say this guy's dad might have taken her for scientific study. You know how he is about his job as a scientist.
Dib said hesitantly. I could tell from the look on Dib's face that Gez gets set off very easily.
You're right, Dib.
Gez said sadly. Then a scenario popped into my head. Or maybe she hurt her wing and couldn't fly back. I told them nervously.
Alright, I have a plan. Dib and Gez hit home. Sonic look in the woods and Shadow. If you're good with stealth, you and I will look for Tamiser's base.
Sim said seriously.
Wait, why are you helping us with Longclaw's disappearance? I thought you hated this kind of thing.
Dib asked skeptically.
I don't know, but I know both Longclaw and Sonic's possession virus is gone for good. We'll be on a truce.
Sim replied nervously, like as if he seemed unsure of himself.
Humph. Well, it's a brilliant plan. I say we do it and quickly.
Shadow said seriously in agreement. Let's do this. Also, whoever finds her, contact the others and meet at Pretzel Mom's place. I said, full of determination.
I wish we could help, but all we can do is wish you all luck.
Marina said as she, Jessica, Joy, and Crystal left the base.
Okay, let's get moving.
Sim said, and with that, I dashed off towards the woods.
Shadow's point of view.
Then I turned to Zim. I have a hunch you won't be able to keep up with me, so I'm gonna have to carry you. I hope you don't mind. I told Zim sheepishly.
Fine, Shadow, but only to be more effective.
Sim said reluctantly as he walked up to me. And I picked him up bridal style. Now hold on tight. I advised right before dashing off. A few minutes later, we found a similarly strange house.
This has to be its Shadow.
Sim said as I put him back on his feet. Then I wrote down the address in my phone notes just in case we needed to overcome back here. Alright, Sim, let's carefully look through that window, I said as I pointed to a window on the left side of the front door.
Right, let's hope they don't see us.
Sim said in agreement as we walked over to the window and looked carefully inside.
I just about had it. I want to find Sonic and boast about my return. I'm so tired of laying low while Tamiser gets to do the fun stuff.
We heard Dr. Robotnik say as he paced in the living room. However, this meat Tamiser wasn't there, so I knew they didn't have Longclaw. Sim, Tamiser isn't here, so thankfully Longclaw isn't either, I said quietly as not to alert Dr. Robotnik about our presence. Zim simply nodded as I picked him up again. Then I ran back to Zim's base to wait for news about Longclaw's location.
Sonic's point of view.
I was running through the forest with no sign of Longclaw. When it showed her where my old cave was, she must have gone there for safety after hurting her wing, I said as started running the direction of my old cave. However, when I got there, it was empty. That's when I fearfully realized that she was captured by one of the two scientists in Green Hills. I immediately called Shadow and started running back into town. Shadow can confirm that Longclaw was taken. Please tell me you found her, I said hastily as was now by the school.
I'm afraid not. So she must at the house of Diz's dad. Don't worry, Diz sent me the address, so I'll send it to you. And me and Zim will meet you there.
Shadow said right before hanging up. Then almost immediately after that, I got the address. Ah, that's not far from here. Perfect, I said and dashed towards Dib's house. Don't worry, Longclaw, we're coming, I said full of determination.
Dib's point of view.
We were almost at Dad's house when I felt a strong breeze blow by me and suddenly saw Sonic next to me and Shadow and Zim next to Guz.
Dib, I'm sorry to tell you this, but it was your dad who took Longclaw.
Sonic told me sorrowfully. Me and Guz gasped in horror, but we knew he was right. Well then, let's hurry because who knows what methods he's using to study her or something, I said as we changed to sprinting pace.
Me and Shadow will go ahead.
Sonic said right before they dashed off.
Sonic's point of view.
We were now in front of Dib's house.
So what's the plan, Sonic?
Shadow asked me seriously. One will distract Professor Membrane while the other frees Longclaw. I replied seriously back.
Well, let's get in there.
Shadow said as I nodded, and then we burst inside the house. I almost fainted at what we saw. Longclaw was strapped to an examination table and Professor Membrane had a scalpel in hand.
Chaos Spear!
Shadow screamed as he shot the spear and it knocked the scalpel out of the professor's hand. Professor Membrane stepped away from our godmother. I shouted, for this outraged me. I could even feel the electric lighting flowing through my quills.
There are more of you!
Professor Membrane said shackly in shock. I signaled to Shadow to set Longclaw free. Shadow nodded and dashed over to Longclaw.
Shadow's point of view.
I immediately started removing the restraints. Don't worry, Longclaw, we'll get you out of here in no time. I said seriously as I did this.
Thank you guys. I'm so proud to be the godmother of such brave and wonderful hedgehogs.
Longclaw said sweetly with tears of relief in her eyes. Finally, Longclaw was free just as Dib, Gaius, and barged in.
Dad, stop. Ah, looks like you already saved her.
Dib said as he looked ready for a big battle.
Sonic's point of view.
I was so busy glaring at Professor Membrane that I didn't notice that Longclaw was free nor that Dib and Gaz came in. Don't you ever do that again, I screamed as I finally became aware of Longclaw being free. Lily became aware of Longclaw, thank goodness you're alright, I exclaimed as me and Shadow hugged her lovingly.
Well, come on, Zim, we'll need your help to explain the Temesser situation to Longclaw and our parents. So stand close to me.
Shadow said happily. Zim then came over.
Chaos Control!
Shadow exclaimed and we appeared in front of our house.
Dib's point of view.
Dad just stood there in shock, so I decided to snap him out of it. Hey, to Dad. I screamed and Dad jumped in surprise.
Son, why did you do that for?
Dad asked as he recovered. Because you were in a state of shock, and how could you? I'm ashamed to call you my father. Replied in a growling tone, for this set me off more than I've ever been before.
Yeah, Dad, that was just plain cruel. I feel so betrayed right now. I can't even look at you.
Guz added angrily as she stormed to her room and slammed the door.
I don't understand. I thought you hated anything non-human. You go on and on about it.
Dad demanded in confusion. That's because they're different and are my friends, unlike Zim. They want to protect humanity. As for Zim, I told you so, but we're on a truce while he's helping Sonic with a problem only he knows how to fix. I explained as calmly as I could, which was not easy.
Oh, sorry, son. So where's their address so I can go apologize to them properly?
Dad asked, sounding genuinely guilty, so I decided to give him the address. Then he left to go apologize.